Those who are not free have no will in themselves. However, most of our African leaders are not free. And when we are not free, we cannot determine a destiny for our own people. In Africa today, and more particularly in French-speaking Africa, we have many heads of state who always receive instructions from Paris, London, or Washington before making any decision. We have heads of state who prefer to dress in Paris or Washington to fight their own African brothers. In such a context, building an integrated set of development and industrialization is difficult. As for my country, Burkina Faso, we have noticed that in West Africa, cooperation between states is difficult. As other heads of state receive instructions from elsewhere to execute them against other countries in West Africa. This observation has led us, together with Mali and Niger, to leave the sub-regional organization, the Economic Community of States in West Africa. And I can tell you that now something new is happening in Africa. Because the three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Nigeria, formed an alliance on September 16, 2023. And from July 6, 2024, formed a confederation of states. And this confederation aims to reach a federation of states in the coming years, and as soon as possible. And I can tell you that this step is irreversible. If the constitution of the Confederation is made by the instigation and leadership of the three heads of state, the populations of these countries have seized this project and are now pushing the leaders to move forward. So it is no longer a matter of leaders. It has become a matter of peoples of these three countries. And on this plan, I can tell you that cooperation with China can have a lot of future in the framework of this confederation, which covers an area of more than 2,700,000 square kilometers, and which has a population of more than 80 million inhabitants. But we must say that the modernization of agriculture and industrialization require prerequisites. And what are these prerequisites? Energy production, which is the weak link of our countries. For example, in my country, Burkina Faso, during the peak of heat, we are forced to undergo energy regulation by power cuts in order to satisfy everyone, because energy production is not sufficient. We cannot industrialize a country if we do not solve the problem of energy production in advance. And so I think that on this plan, China is expected to be able to contribute to the development of energy production in Africa before industrialization and modernization of agriculture. The modernization of agriculture also requires other prerequisites. We need road, railway infrastructures for the exchange of industrial and agricultural products. And on this plan, In Burkina Faso, we have set up a railway production industry to facilitate the construction of railways. And there we also expect the Chinese contribution and expertise for their next achievements. Beyond the country, we have a project for the construction of railways, which would link the capital of Ghana, Accra, to the capital of Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, so the projects are not missing. And all this is necessary because if we do industrialization and modernize agriculture without foreseeing the conditions of cooling, there will be a stifling effect, and it will affect industrial production and agricultural production. But this is not enough. We must also take care of the men who will be the craftsmen of this industrialization and of this agricultural production. So training is necessary, and also the health of men is necessary. On this plan, I thank China again for realizing in Burkina Faso, the country's largest reference hospital, which will be operational from 2025. So, I would like to tell you that we should not see industrialization and modernization of agriculture in isolation, but as a whole, so that there is no work of isolation in the process. That said, I come back to say that China has an interest in a developed and united Africa. If Africa were united, instead of having to deal with 54 different states, China would have to deal with only one state. Negotiations would be much easier, and resolutions would be made much faster. In addition, if Africa develops, Africans will have more purchasing power. They will be able to trade much more with China, and exchanges will multiply. So our interests are shared. As much as Africa needs China to develop, China needs Africa to develop as well, because with exchanges, there is an effect of stimulation. So now, Mr. Head of State and Government, I would like to tell you that perspectives depend on us, and first of all, depend on a political will. So I would like us to examine this carefully and to take into account that we must first and foremost free ourselves from all controls, orient ourselves towards ourselves so that all harmonious and sustainable development can take place. Currently, the economy of Burkina Faso is based on 3 pillars. First, there is mining production. Second, there is agricultural production, in particular with crops such as cotton, sesame, anacarde, but also rice crops. And third, there is breeding. Currently, we are focusing on a 4th pillar, which is the quality of men, i.e. professional training. The theme of this lecture is of great interest to us because it is about industrialization and modernization of agriculture. In this regard, China is a reference point for us. In less than a century, China has industrialized and modernized its agriculture and has achieved food self-sufficiency and has started exporting its production. Therefore, the Chinese example must inspire us. But China has achieved this feat because of the extent of its territory, the large number of its population, and its unity. And above all, the political unity in the will to act. Unfortunately, this is what is currently missing in Africa. Because to drive a given policy, to make decisions, you need political will. And to have political will, you need to be free. Thank you. Thank you.